All right, welcome to another episode of the Biohacking Beauty podcast. I'm your host, Amitay Eshel, co founder and CEO of Young Goose. As always, we're here to explore the latest innovations in skin health, bringing you enlightening conversations with the industry's finest. Today, we are thrilled to have an incredible guest with us, Darnell Cox. Darnell is an absolute expert when it comes to living young. A mother of three, she holds a master's in psychology from Pepperdine University and is certified in integrative nutrition and health. Darnell is the brain behind liveyounglifestyle.com, a comprehensive resource for all things anti aging, from diet to exercise, and of course, skincare and wellness. Really, she's incredible. From running the LA Marathon to creating her own YouTube channel, Darnell's journey is as inspiring as her work. Her enthusiasm for learning and sharing knowledge on how to live young is truly infectious, and it has resonated with thousands and hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. But actually, that's not all. She has really informative tutorials and many other things that she really brings to the table and educates us all, providing her followers with many tools to support their youthfulness from the inside out and from the outside in. In our conversation today, we'll dive deep into Darnell's approach to maintaining a youthful appearance and lifestyle. We will also discuss the different modalities that she's using, how often. We're going to talk about protocols a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to talk about her journey in the anti-aging industry. But before we dive in, here's a wonderful review from one of our listeners. That was on the episode that we had with Dr. Sandy Kaufman, and saying another great interview with Sandra. Love it. Well done. If you haven't done so already, we'd be very grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you consume this podcast. It greatly helps the growth of our podcast and allows us to reach more listeners. Now, let's get into our conversation with the living young expert, Darnell Cox. All right, Darnell, welcome to the Biohacking Beauty podcast. I'm very honored and excited to have you on.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, and I told you off air, you're one of my favorite accounts to watch. I really feel like you are canary in the coal mine, as I say often about innovators, as far as keeping our skin young, our appearance youthful. So I first of all applaud you for that, and I thank you for your content. And it's great to have you on.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. I bring people into my social media world through skin, and then I help expand their health span and make them live longer. So, it's amazing how much draw there is to looking your best and feeling your best. But we're not there. It's a hard combination to talk about the health of skin in the same with the same passion as we're talking about cardiovascular health, which is
Yeah.
I'm looking at skin like that because it is our largest organ.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, in medicine, I think in the last, however many years, the entire effect of our emotions and placebo, et cetera, because it is very hard to study and measure, it kind of was left out of the conversation. And I think, as you said, feeling your best and looking your best and looking in the mirror and seeing that reflect the process that you're going through has a lot of amazing benefit. There is a reason people love taking photos of themselves in front of the mirror after the gym, right? It's a big motivator to keep you in track in order to have your cardiovascular system working correctly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, it's all so connected. And I think that's what the graduate degree in psychology has helped me with. Because I got that in my 30s, but then recently I just graduated from USC with a second master's in gerontology, and to combine those two fields in the field of aging with also being a skincare enthusiast. I think since I came out of the womb, I feel like I came out of the womb, I was searching for chapstick and what do we do about baby pimples? Like I came out this way in the health and wellness field before I even knew that there was a health and wellness field. And I'm 55, so it wasn't
Wow.
a big trending thing back then. But I've always been obsessed with skincare, and I've always kind of been obsessed with the latest, greatest way to look and feel your best. And so, how do you marry those two? And in coming up with this, a lot of the protocols that I have, there is definitely a connection with the psychology of aging and longevity and increasing that health span. Because if you can equate, putting your best skin forward with having a good hair day, or being able to slide into a pair of jeans that you weren't able to before. If you have a good hair day, or you're wiggling on those skinny jeans and you're like, whoa, that changes what you do with that day. You are far less likely to plop your butt on the couch and binge watch Netflix with a bag of Doritos, right? You want to get out there in the world. And so the outside is important because it is really closely tied to our self-esteem. It's our only outward facing organ, our skin. Not only is it the largest, but it's that organ that we present to the world. And you can tell a lot about somebody's health inside by how it shows up in their skin. And in addition, how you take care of your skin and the reflection that you see in the mirror greatly affects whether or not what you do with that day, right? Do you take advantage of that day and go and do something? It changes what you put in your body and what you eat. It changes the social aspect of aging and getting out. When I have a good hair day and my skinny jeans are going on and my skin looks fabulous, I want to run into every ex-boyfriend I ever had, right? It changes what we do with that day. So it's very, very closely tied to our self-esteem. And as we age, our skin is the thing that changes the most. There's this disconnect between the age that we feel on the inside and the age that we see reflected back to us in the mirror. And that's hard for people sometimes. And that makes people, that's why the anti-aging field is, and all of the gadgets and skincare is a multi-billion, if not more, industry, because we're always searching for that fountain of youth. And how do we bridge that gap between what we think we're supposed to look like, which most people have an image in their 20s or 30s. That's our optimal image of what we think we look like. Ironically, it's the same age that our collagen starts declining, right? But
Yeah.
that's what we kind of visualize ourselves at. I'm 55. I don't feel 55. I think that with the optimal health that I'm doing inside out and outside in concept, I feel like I don't look 55. I don't feel 55. And that's what I'm really kind of striving with my clients to do. So I get them in with the skincare because they come to me and they're like, what do I do about these fine lines and wrinkles? I feel like this, my lower half of my face is sagging now. I have this jowl, my chin's not looking great, and they're looking back at themselves in the mirror. So I get them in with the skincare on my social media with different gadgets that I use at home, optimal, effective skincare. And then I get them to live longer because, as you know, like our skin is our largest organ. So what we put in our body shines outwardly.
Yeah.
Are you exercising? Are you getting optimal sleep? Are you meditating? Are you grounding to the earth? How is your stress relief? Are you exercising in a way that promotes longevity? And all of this goes through your skin, right? Superfoods, all of that goes through your skin, supplements. So you can really see your skin being reflective of your inner health.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like first of all, it's very, 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 very interesting as far as you having a psychology background and hearing you talk about the importance of our self-image and literally the image that looks at us from the mirror and how it motivates us. And I think it's a good lesson. Of course, there is this famous book, Atomic Habits, and how inertia basically is our best tool for any type of positive habit we have in our life. And the skin is definitely, or the fear of loss, right? Like if we have, if we're on a roll, if our skin looks great, whatever that is, the fear of not having that anymore is an amazing motivator.
Yeah.
Not only that, it's also the fact that your skin, I would say, unfortunately, as we grow older, because the real purpose of the skin, or the purpose of the visual aspect of the skin, is to signal vitality and obviously youthfulness in order to procreate. So
Yeah.
when we grow through, the age that genetically we're not designed to procreate anymore, the skin really, any mistake we're doing, the skin's going to pay for it, because the body says, I need to preserve other systems. It's not important for me anymore to show that I'm uh, vital through the skin. So we really need to become more and more and more dialed in to get those results that we like. On the flip side of that, if we do get amazing results for the skin, it kind of tells us that we're doing good things in general.
Yeah. And we feel better about ourselves, and therefore we're more motivated to continue down that path, right? It's the
Yeah.
same thing with exercise. Going to the gym when you're out of shape and making that first step through those doors, that's the hardest part. But when you're seeing the results and you're feeling good about yourself, then you're more motivated to go to the gym. And it's the same thing with our skin, right? So that's kind of what the concept is it's not just optimally being healthy on the inside and letting that shine through and then just doing skincare treatments on the outside. There are things that you can do to trick your skin into functionally behaving like it did when it was younger. So that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. You need to trick your skin. We're tricking our cardiovascular system. We're tricking our muscles, right? We start losing muscle mass at the age of 30, and then sarcopenia can set in. That's when
Hmm.
fat infiltrates the muscle, and then it's really difficult to lose weight after that. So we're tricking our muscles by adding weightlifting to our routines, right? We're tricking our cardiovascular health by increasing our heart rate and doing the aerobic exercise. There's lots of different ways. We're tricking our whole cortisol system. When you step barefoot onto the earth, you're reducing your
Hmm.
blood pressure through grounding. I have a grounding mat on my bed as well. We're doing all of this tricking, and the only thing that I think we're doing in terms of skincare to really trick our skin into behaving like it did when it was younger is we're using active ingredients like retinoids and vitamin C's and those kind of things that help to trick our skin. And then, few and far between, for those of us that can afford it, we're going into in office places to then do the microneedling and the radio frequency and microcurrent and all of that stuff that really changes the function of our skin. And what I have found as a healthy aging coach and a gerontologist who does one-on-one coaching with people to get them to look and feel their best, not cheating off their
Hmm.
neighbor's paper, not looking at filtered people on Instagram, but what is your optimal, your best foot forward, face forward to present to the world inside and out. How do you just achieve that optimal health and wellness on the outside and the inside? And so a lot of people can't afford to go and get a Morpheus 8 treatment in
Yeah.
an office. It's just out of people's reach. And so when I'm working one-on-one with people, first of all, I'm making sure that they're using effective skincare. But then what are we doing to the exterior of your skin and giving it as much respect as we're giving our heart and our lungs and our muscles, our cardiovascular system? How are we addressing the skin in such a way that we're tricking it into behaving like it did when it was younger? And that's where I
Hmm.
came up with this protocol because
Yeah.
you could buy a microneedling device for $199 that will last you 10 years. You cannot find that going to a dermatologist or a med spa and saying, microneedle my face, how often would you have to go for that to be really effective? You don't just go to the gym once, right? You
Yeah.
also don't go and get one microneedling PRP treatment. These are, you need to have several different treatments, and you need that to be part of a, if not a monthly schedule, at least like, every couple months you need to continue these type of treatments, or else it's I literally equate it to going to the gym once. What good
Yeah,
is
but
it going to do?
I couldn't agree with you more. And, you're raising so many good points, whether it is, by the way, the point of signals, a strong signal for repair, whatever that is, or a weaker one, which we can do at home, and how they look like. And obviously following your social media, I mean, it's really like a Bible for tricking or conversing with the skin as far as what we want it to do. And it's funny because really that's a lot of the language that we use, in Young Goose. When we publish a study, what we publish is genetic expression. We publish, functional age, biological age changes, things like that. So it's incredible to hear someone that's gone through a parallel journey, but that speaks the same language. And someone like you, I think one of the best questions is that we can ask is, what are your go-to as far as, daily, weekly, monthly, 6 month, 3 month, 6 month, yearly? How does it look like as far as you're concerned? What are your go tos, like, every day, every week, every month, etc.?
Yeah, I have a whole calendar for you, but I'm going to reiterate this again because I think that this part is super important. It
Yeah.
start with what you put in your body. How are you moving
Hmm.
your body? So all of that foundation, listen, you cannot do a microneedling session and go out and drink like a fish, or not sleep and think that, or not exercise and not use sunscreen and think that it's going to make a difference. All that foundation has to be there. So are you exercising regularly? That is beneficial to the skin. What are you consuming? Are you consuming vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin B's? Those same things that we put on topically, you need to ingest. How are you sleeping? How is your stress? All of these things are so important. Now, once we have all of these in line, now how can we trick the skin? And so for me, it's really about 5 or 6 different modes that I do at home. I came up with this calendar. So this
Hmm.
is my Live Young skincare gadget protocol. And what I do with that is it's very specific in the way that I set this up, so that every Sunday I'm microneedling. Now I'm not microneedling the same body part, but every
Hmm.
Sunday I know I'm microneedling. And so I do a lot of things with, I mean, there's various ways that you can microneedle. There's the stampers, there's the rollers, there's the Dr. Pens of the world where you're actually changing the cartridge on the devices so you're getting sterile needles. And what
Hmm.
it's doing is like, it's creating those little perforations in the skin, the microtrauma in the skin. Controlled trauma is actually great for us. So just like when we were younger and we'd ride our bicycle and we'd fall down and skin our knee, that injury is calling on our body to come to the rescue, produce collagen, make that scab, heal that area. Well, when you're doing things like microneedling at home, it's controlled injury that is then calling on your body, your skin, to wake up. Let's produce some collagen, let's produce some elastin, but it's consistency that is important. And I'm just going to go back to, not everybody can afford an in-office treatment. And so I did a whole microneedling protocol, which is a 5-page document that not only shows you how do you do this at home safely, because safety is first, but also it shows you the different needle lengths, every single body part, different needle lengths, different speed, how often. And the reason is because if you microneedle every Sunday, which I do, you're not going to microneedle the same part the next Sunday. You're going to pick a different body part. So for me, the ones that are absolutely, this is a no brainer. This is what I have to do. I'll add in other body parts, but every Sunday I'll do my face one Sunday. The following Sunday I do my abdomen, because I did grow 3 human beings in my stomach. 5 years old. So, it's at that time when you hit menopause that where you thought like, hey, I had 3 kids. My skin looks great. And then you hit menopause and you're like, oh, I can tell I had 3 kids
Hmm.
now. So abdomen is on the second Sunday of every month. And then I do neck and chest because I don't like doing, having my face all healed and be great. And then the next week, I'm doing my neck and chest. It's like, come on, give me a little bit of a break so that I can go out and do
Hmm.
something functional. So then it's neck and chest, and then it's my knees. So this is one of the places that for women in midlife, the knees, the stomach, back of the arms, the hands, face, neck, I will split that all up and throw those in so that if I have something that comes up and I have to bypass doing my microneedling on a Sunday for my face, I'll just move it down. So it turns out to be every 4 to 6 weeks, I'm microneedling that same body part. So every 4 to 6 weeks, I'm doing my face. Every 4 to 6 weeks, I'm doing my neck and chest. Every 4 to 6 weeks, abdomen. And you just keep cycling those around. And I have found, because I used to be one of those people, pre COVID, that would go into med spa or my dermatologist and do microneedling like once a year, once every 4 6 months, something like that. I have found that when I can consistently do it at home, I have much better results, much better results, and it's cheaper. So I've had like my microneedling pen now for over a decade. Super simple, effective. I'm not getting the latest, greatest thing coming out. But if I were to quantify how much this actually costs me to do per treatment, I mean, we're at over the 10 years that I've been doing it, we're talking dollars, dollars, not hundreds of dollars. Because once you buy a device that's actually effective, you can use that device for a very long time. Now you have to get new cartridges because that's safety first, but you can use these devices for a long time. And I'm not saying that I don't go in and occasionally around my birthday go into my med spa or my dermatologist and say like microneedle the hell out of me, radio frequency the hell out of me. I do, but those are like once a year. I'll give myself a treat, and then at home I'm
Yeah.
super super consistent. So that was number one, microneedling. Okay, then I follow it up strategic. It's strategic. I'm following it up with red light therapy masks, because red light therapy is going to heal quicker the trauma that I just created with this microneedling. So I will double up on my collagen, also help with the healing, right? So on my Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I'm taking double the dose of my collagen, hydrolyzed collagen, liquid hydrolyzed collagen. This one is 95% absorption rate.
Yeah.
Um,
You're taking it orally.
I'm taking it orally. I'm taking it orally. So microneedling is here. So I've created those traumas. It also gives you, what are you going to do for skincare afterwards? Because the last thing you want to do is create trauma in your skin and then add an active ingredient on that, right? So it shows you what I'm using when I'm microneedling. That's all in the microneedling protocol. But what am I using and how
Mhm.
does the skincare change after that? So I don't want to microneedle my face on a Sunday and wake up the next morning and put an active C on it. I'm going to be burning my face. Instead, I'm going to blast it with red light therapy masks, which this is my favorite, but I have several. But these are like masks that you can put right against your skin. I have the different panels. I've got things that wrap around. So it depends on what was the body part that I treated. That's how I'm going to blast it with red light therapy. So that's going to red light
Mhm.
therapy. Red light therapy is Mondays and Tuesdays. That's going to heal the micro trauma. And then on Wednesdays, I'm doing radio frequency. So radio frequency, they have at-home devices now. Now, these are not going to be as strong as what you would get
Mhm.
in an office, obviously. But have you checked the prices of radio frequency in offices? They're astronomical. And if you've
Yeah.
got money to burn, then great, go ahead and do that or treat yourself. But bi-weekly, I'm doing this. So I'm doing a radio frequency at home. This is the Lumo by Even Skin. This is just my favorite, but I also, when this one's out of battery, I'll use the tripolar. So it's not about the actual device. But what I do help
Mhm.
is make sure that people are making informed decisions so you're not throwing your money away. Is your device effective? Is the radio frequency heating the dermis to the point where it's between 40 and 42 degrees Celsius that can stimulate collagen production? And then how do you do that in such a way that you're not causing more harm than good? And
Yeah.
that's what this skincare protocol is about, because radio frequency is every Wednesday for me. And then I hit it again with a red light therapy mask. And then on Friday, I'm doing microcurrent. So I have microcurrent devices that add, that electrical current into the skin. And then on Saturday, I'm back with radio frequency. So at 50 years old, 55 years old, you can do a radio frequency device at home twice a week. But if you're under the age of 50, you really only want to do it once a week. Now,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of devices on the market these days. And a lot of what I do when I work with clients one on one is I'll literally say, that's a piece of garbage. Let's throw that one away. It's not working, it's not effective. And so we'll go through what makes a device effective. You can't just, for example, shine a red light on something and call it red light therapy, right? It has to be within, excuse that. it has
No,
just
you're great.
it has to be within that therapeutic wavelength, right? Which is
Yeah.
630 to 660 nanometers of red and 800 to 880 nanometers of near infrared. And it's in those devices that you can buy at home where you're kind of wanting to look for, is that effective? If you're looking
Yeah.
at a red light therapy mask, for example, on Amazon, and you get to the details and you see like it says 630 nanometers plus or minus 5, hello, that device, although it's not in the therapeutic window, it might reach it sometimes, and I personally wouldn't purchase that device. There's also devices like radio frequency that I feel are not being used correctly at home. There's a lot of stuff coming out of China. There's
Hmm.
the market is just crazy right now. So there's a lot of stuff that's like it's either ineffective, meaning it's not heating the dermis to the degree, the temperature that it needs to stimulate collagen and elastin, or it's
Hmm.
heating it too high where you have a potential for fat loss.
Yeah.
So these sweet spots of what's effective and then coming up with a way to fit in all of those modalities in on a weekly schedule so that you're held accountable for it and it's being effective. Does that make sense? That's pretty much what the skincare protocol is it's a way to fit in all of those modalities. Now, in addition to microneedling, red light therapy, microcurrent, and radio frequency, I'm dry brushing every day, very inexpensive to do. So
Hmm.
every morning I'm doing a full dry brushing, which stimulates all of that stuff, helps with exfoliation, really kind of wakes up the skin and helps with lymphatic drainage as well. And then I jump in a 3-minute freezing cold shower. So that's how I start the day. And then oftentimes while I'm putting on skincare, I'm standing in front of a red light therapy panel. So people have often said, you look at my social media and people will often criticize, are you spending all day long doing beauty treatments? And the answer is no. It's strategic. It's 30 minutes a day. And if you can devote 30 minutes a day in the gym to improve your cardiovascular health and your muscles and your bones, you can do 30 minutes on your skin, which is that organ which addresses the whole world and greets the whole world.
Yeah. And I think when people ask you if you're doing and even if it's 30 minutes, it's if someone's super in tune and doesn't need to look at instructions and doesn't need to look at a short video or read something on how to do it. Let's say an hour, let's say 2 hours a day. The amount of time we waste on things that are not helping us either from the outside or from the inside, by the way, it's much, much larger. There is a reason Netflix is literally the service that uses the most amount of bandwidth on the internet, not videos on how to do dry brushing, right? So,
Right.
I mean, like, this is a joke to say, oh, you're wasting your time, because this is actually the least amount of wasted time that I can think of, because what you're really doing is, whether consciously or subconsciously, that is time that you are engaged in investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And anyone who was either, single for a while, or anyone who is a high achiever, whatever that is, they will know that the times where you've turned inwards and directed attention towards yourself and did things for yourself has fueled success in whatever other endeavor you want to create. This is the most simple thing in the world that charges you, etc. And our skin, thankfully, will show you results. It's like going to the gym. There are things like supplements that I think, unless most supplements, what they will do is that they will fortify you against extreme situations, extreme scenarios where you can't, you're under a lot of stress, or god forbid something happened, your body's going to be more resilient. But on a day to day, it's not like you're going to take I don't know, beef liver for 2 months, desiccated organs, and you're going to look completely different.
Right.
Skin procedures and going to the gym are things that we can see the results in front of our eyes, and that, I think, to our subconscious is incredible and seeps to in every other endeavor that we have in our life.
100%. 100%. If somebody isn't really aware of that, like if you think that what your choices are in terms of what you're even consuming, if it that it shows up on your skin, try giving up drinking for 3 months. Your skin will change, because that's nutrition, that's self-care from the inside out. Give up drinking, you'll see a difference in your skin. So that just kind of shows you, if you can give up drinking and it shows in your skin, what are the other lifestyle hacks that you can be doing that are also going to improve? And then how do we combat that from the outside in, and how does that change what we do with that day? I'm going to tell you, it changes a lot. It changes a lot. I mean, just think of it even
Yeah.
as, if
So
when we were
I
younger.
actually have a question to ask you. I'm wondering how you view it, because we really have, if within longevity, okay, within the science of wellness, we really have a couple things that sometimes conflict. One is obviously looking, performing, and feeling our best at the current moment. Then we have longevity, and then we also have, let's say, balance in other parts of our lives, and obviously our other responsibilities, etc. And sometimes these things do not coincide. If I fast, or go under a diet that is calorie restricting, it means I'll be able to do it slightly less in the gym, right? On the other hand, if you see any power lifter or whatever, they look kind of chubby, because what all they care about is the present moment. And every professional athlete has their knee replaced at like 45. So we know performance in the current moment doesn't equate to longevity. So I wonder, within within living well, which is your system, and within your perception, how do you, and you kind of alluded to it when you said, I don't do this so often and don't go to professional treatment that often. So how do you, balance these things? How do you view it?
Well, that's what this whole thing is about. This is I mean, at 55, I think I
Yeah.
started doing treatments. I bought my first wrinkle cream at 15, and that was not because I had wrinkles, but because I was so interested in the science of the skin and what could this do? What could I still remember it? It was in a blue swirly Estee Lauder bottle. I was 15 years old. I was worked my whole life, and I thought, like, that's fascinating. I want to see what this does. Well, then I got my aunt and my mom and everybody else on board with all of this kind of stuff. But my thought is, there is a way to exhaust the skin and overdo it to where you're not helping, you're causing more harm than good. And you can do that with radio frequency too often. You can do that with microneedling the skin too often. You need to give your skin the ability to repair. And so it's just like when you tear muscle fibers in the gym, you
Yeah.
wouldn't really want to do like chest presses until, to the point of muscle failure, and then go back the next day and start doing chest
Hmm.
presses. It's not going to be beneficial to you. You need to let that skin heal. And so I think that that's really the skincare gadget protocol. I came up with it because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't harming my skin. And with all of the in-office treatments, I did have Ulthera. I don't know if you remember Ulthera, that ultrasound that
Yeah.
it's still on the market today, and they're still doing it. But when it first came out, as a skincare junkie, I was like, I want to be the first to test this out, and went in, and it melted a fat pad on my cheek. And so there are things that you can do that are actually going to harm your skin. And so you have to look at it as, I kind of equate it with muscles. When you're doing radio frequency, if you're doing radio frequency and it's going into your dermis and kind of tickling those collagen to have the collagen stimulated and the elastin stimulated, you don't want to go back in with radio frequency while it's trying to repair itself. And so there is a fine line between optimizing the health of your skin and overdoing it to the point where your skin is not going to be functioning like it did when it was older, like when it did
Yeah.
when it was younger. You don't want to exhaust the skin to the point where it's not going to be, it's not going to look great, and it's not going to function the way that it's supposed to. And one of the, that I learned in my skincare was from a very young age, following Dr. Obaji, who I had the privilege of being able to interview several times on my YouTube channel,
Hmm.
Live Young Lifestyle. And he taught me really a lot about the science of skincare in just a simple, I'm just going to give you a simple analogy about moisturizer. So this kind of tells you like the health of the skin. He asked me one time, what do you think is the number one ingredient that people use that will actually hurt their skin or hurt the function of their skin? And too much retinoid. I was like grasping at straws, peels that are too intense. What could it be? And he said moisturizer. If you over moisturize your skin, you're signaling to the lower levels of your skin cells, hey, wait a second, I already have this moisture coating on me. I don't need to produce moisture from within. And so you have to think about skin in that way. You want it to function to its optimal way without exhausting it. And so a lot of what I have done over the years is to try to figure out how to do that. And more is not more, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do the most intense chemical peels, which I do. I do a chemical peel every Friday. So in between my red light therapy, and there's a reason for it. It's just there's a method to the madness for sure. So I've done this microcurrent, I mean the microneedling on Sundays, and by the time I get over to when I'm doing an at-home peel, my skin is healed. I've addressed the lower levels of the skin through radio frequency, and now I'm going to address the epidermis with the chemical peels. But when you're doing it at home, what I've found is the best results are a little bit less intense and really free, like just consistent, consistent, consistent.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, it's there is something that's called the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. I mean, and this is the genius within your system. We talk a lot about it when we talk about stimulatory signals or control damage, as we call it, whether it is vitamin A's like retinol, whether it is even vitamin C, but any other ingredient that is impactful. We can the stronger the signal, not only that we're creating damage that is less controlled, but also what we are doing is we are exhausting the receptors, whatever gets that signal. It's like me shouting in your ear, right? I can communicate information to you. If I'm talking to weakly and you can't hear me, that's another story. But there's if I can convey a signal, there's no reason for me to shout it. If I'm going to shout it, two things are going to happen. You're not going to maybe you're going to get offended. You're not going to perform whatever I want you to perform that well. But more than that, I'm going to damage your hearing ability.
Yeah.
And we can see it in every communication that we have, whether with the environment or with our body. One of the questions that we had actually from a colleague of mine that I was telling him that we're going to have a podcast. He wanted to hear about your relationship with the sun. You mentioned, sunblock before. Within our wellness community, there are a lot of voices now touting the great benefits of being in the sun. But I think within the putting your best skin forward, if you would, analogy, there is a problem with being exposed to the sun. So I'm really intrigued about your relationship with the sun, and how you keep your skin healthy in that relationship.
I'm pretty close to being like a vampire. Like I'm like really, I really, I would say this in my youth. I grew up, I was in high school in the 80s. So that's, the copper toned tan and like
Mhm.
the baby oil and the reflective lights and all that. But even from a young age, I was really, really smart about my face and my neck. So I would bake my body and I would lay out with a towel over my face and neck. I don't know why, but I even from a young age thought, well, I know that the sun is going to cause wrinkles and photo damage. Why am I going to be laying out like that? I can just put makeup on my face to kind of make the transition. I since then I've gotten a lot smarter about the sun because I've had to get rid of all these little spots on my arms from baking my whole body in the sun. But my relationship with the sun is, I think, in moderation, to just be able to open the blinds in the morning and have sunlight on your face or step outside. I'll oftentimes bring a cup of green tea to my front lawn barefoot, sit down, just kind of have the sun just for 10 minutes, be able to ground, have a cup of tea, have a little tiny bit of sunlight early in the morning, I think is great for your whole internal clock, your sleep wake cycle. But in
Yeah.
terms of like the photo damage from the sun, I just don't do it. I use a lot of physical barriers like hats when I'm driving in the car. I don't know if you've seen that social media post where I have the gloves that go up to here that are like the
Yeah.
UV gloves because our hands are on the steering wheel and it's just beating down. So I like the idea of being outside and having that sunlight when it has to do with my internal clock. But in terms of just sticking any part of my skin in direct sun on purpose, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. No, not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. And also, as you said, there is a big difference between when we say the sun. It's really it's there is the same drop off as when we say any meat, right? There is organic, there is grass fed, and there's McDonald's, right?
Yeah,
And the sun is pretty similar. There is morning, close to horizon sun, which is fantastic as far as like that's what we're doing when we talked about red light therapy a lot in this podcast, and that's really what we're doing in red light therapy, right? We're trying to distill that signal.
yeah,
And there's midday sun, which if you think about our evolutionary path, we're in a cave at that time. Okay, we're trying to get away from the sun. We're not being baked in the sun. So I couldn't agree with you more. And to be honest with you, I think in our modern society, as much as it's a nice discussion to have sun, not sun, we're exposed to other skin disruptors just as often, whether it is pollution, artificial blue light, heavy metals, all
yeah.
the EMFs. I mean, there are other things that we should consider as disruptors.
Agreed. Agreed. And I'm trying to like, head all of those off at the pass. So, why if I'm trying to do all of those other things, well, just being out in the sun midday makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't know if you've seen those photos of the truck driver who was a truck driver
Hmm.
for a living.
Yeah.
that's not even being in direct sun. That's just, all the sunlight comes through our windows of our
Hmm.
car. So that's just that one side had more sun exposure and it looks like a different person.
Yeah,
That just shows you, if you want to put your best skin forward, it's not going to be one that's weathered by the sun.
yeah, 100%. So I think one of the major things that someone would glean from this podcast is that you're really a wealth of knowledge as far as walk the walk, not only talk the talk. Whether it is routines, it's incredible that the chart you showed to anyone who's listening. You shared with us. You showed a chart that is extremely easy to follow, and not only easy to follow, it's super thought out and detailed. It's almost like, when you go to the difference between going to LA Fitness, stepping through the door and looking like deer in the headlights at all the different instruments, or having a personal trainer that would tell you what to do. And that's, I think, in our modern society, it's super important. We each have our own things that we're interested in, but we're aspiring for perfection, right? We're going to work all day, we're going to sacrifice our health, and then we're going to look in the mirror and we'll say, oh my god, this and that bothers me. So it's really important to have access to people are who have dedicated a big part of their life to deciphering whatever you would like, just a laundry list of what to do. So how does working with you look like? How does someone reach out? What are some of the best ways to work with you? How do you like to work with other people?
Well, on multiple different ways. So there's my website, liveyounglifestyle.com, and that's where you can find both of the protocols. You can find the microneedling protocol that gives you the
Hmm.
links to the needles. You can also find the skincare gadget protocol on liveyounglifestyle.com. But I work a lot through social media. I do a live show every Saturday that is a new topic on Instagram Live, where I'll have experts on. I'd love to have you on sometime. So I
Absolutely.
work a lot through that, but I also have a private club on Instagram where members can pay $4.99 a month and ask me any question and give me 24 hours, and I will go back and answer that. And on the Instagram club, the Live Young Instagram club, there is a whole tutorial on everything. So on Sundays, I'll do a microneedling demo, or I'll do a demo on one of these kind of modalities, radio frequency, microcurrent, and that demo gets posted to the Instagram club. So if you're on the Instagram club, every single modality that I use, microcurrent, this is all on different like half hour tutorials on each modality, so that it's like a personal trainer almost, that you can go back and look at these kind of you
Wow.
demos and really kind of follow along. So that's number one.
Wow.
I honestly try to give people, because everybody is in a different everybody has different means, right? So I try to give people different options in terms of what is the best radio frequency, tools in your budget. And then
Hmm.
what is the best way to work with me? And sometimes that's in the Instagram club for people for $4.99. And sometimes that's one-on-one healthy aging coaching. And so you can find all of that in my linked tree. You can schedule a one-on-one with me. And a lot of times, people get these kind of devices and they're afraid to use them. And the best kind of skincare gadget you can buy is the one that you're actually going to use. So I get
100%.
all of those out. I help people dust them off. I like go through all of the instructions with them and really get them to where they can spend 30 minutes a day max on this kind of stuff because it's part of their routine. So that's it. You can find me on the website, liveyounglifestyle.com. Instagram, I have a live show every Saturday. Every Sunday, I do a demo on these devices and post it to the Instagram club, or you can book a one-on-one with me through my linked tree.
It's crazy that you can access that the internet allows us to access so much information it's so easily. I mean, yeah, if anyone that's listening doesn't follow you or isn't subscribed, I cannot recommend it enough. And that's unsolicited. That's, I mean,
Thank you.
that's why you're here, because I specifically, and everyone at Young Goose, we really enjoy consuming your content. So Darnell,
Thank you.
again, I super appreciate the time that you gave us today. I wish you continued success. You're killing it, and I mean, thank you for giving us this beautiful overview of the canary in the coal mine in beauty.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been fun. And I can't wait to listen to all of your other podcasts. And I can't wait to try your skincare line.
Yeah,
Yes. Thank you so much.
absolutely. All right, that's it for today's episode of the Biohacking Beauty podcast. A massive thank you to our fantastic guest, Darnell Cox, for her insightful knowledge on living young. We're confident that her expertise and the tools that she has shared with us here will help many of us in our journey towards achieving optimal skin health. Please make sure to check out Darnell's website, liveyounglifestyle.com, for a wealth of anti-aging resources. And don't forget to explore her Instagram Live that she talked about here, which is, I believe, every Sunday. It offers a fantastic approach and knowledge as far as enhancing your youthfulness with different methodologies. As always, I ask you to remember to subscribe, rate, and review our podcasts, whether on Apple Podcast or wherever you consume these podcasts. And one of the things that you can do is ask us question when you review. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go into a few questions. We actually gave a little masterclass for a Facebook group recently, and I believe they had amazing questions. So I wanted to get into some of the questions that they asked there. So one person asked, I just finished listening to the masterclass, and I can't wait to listen to it again. I have two questions that I need clarification. One, typically, you cannot apply vitamin C and copper peptides in the same application. Did he, meaning me, say that with the Young Goose formulation of vitamin C, you can? For example, I would love to use his Young Goose's vitamin C, which is in ProCare. We were talking about ProCare there, formula, and vitamin C copper peptide, and I'm sorry, and copper peptide serum in the morning. So that was the question. And the problem with vitamin C and copper peptide is a specific form of vitamin C, which is the most common one, which is called L-ascorbic acid or just ascorbic acid. This is water soluble and it is extremely, extremely volatile. So yes, it doesn't work well with copper peptide or GHKCU or copper tripeptide 1. A lot of the time it's called, and it's going to color the skin, give the skin kind of an orange hue, and also make the products less effective. But the form of vitamin C that we use, which is called THD ascorbate. Ascorbic would be water soluble, ascorbate would be oil soluble. They actually don't interact between them, and the results are really, really good. Actually, you need vitamin C to create collagen. So these work very well together. Another question was, I was told there is a conflicting recommendation when using copper peptide in the same application with retinols. I was told no, and then heard you can, but need to wait 30 minutes after the application of copper peptide before applying a vitamin A, which is a type of retinol product. I don't know if that's because of irritation or that one molecule makes another less effective. And they're actually kind of both. So for the most part, both retinols and copper peptide ask cells to divide, ask cells to renew themselves, and together they can actually create irritation. 30 minutes is a long time to wait. You could definitely do that, and it really depends on the levels. THD and copper peptide work in different areas in the skin, so that can shorten. THD is the vitamin C, but rather retinol and copper peptide work in a little bit different levels in the skin. So you could technically apply them, but you need to have one absorb before you apply the other one. So anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes is enough as far as waiting time between the two products, especially if you have high quality formula. The second question that person had was, from what I understood, it's important to have a product rich in ceramides included in your routine for your skin barrier. Would this be equal to the bio barrier by Young Goose? I see lipids in the ingredients, but not ceramide. That's a great question. Yeah, so ceramides are important. They're part of your skin barrier, but there are other fats, other lipids that are part of your skin barrier, and we use phospholipids and glycolipids. They play the same role in your skin barrier, and it is easier to prevent pore clogging and accumulation of them when you're using phospholipid or glycolipids. So for that matter, they play the same role. They are much more suitable for topical application, and if combined with antioxidants, vitamin E, vitamin F, they create a complete skin barrier where ceramides are redundant at that point. So yeah, biobarrier would be the equivalent for that. But that's all we have for today. I highly appreciate anyone who stuck around until now, and I wish you to have a great rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone.